Not I, nor anyone else, can travel that road for you. You must travel it by yourself. It is not far, it is within reach. Perhaps you have been on it since you were born and did not know. Perhaps it is everywhere, on water and land. You are listening to the Harmia podcast, the renaissance of Western spirituality, paganism and animism. We show the Dharmic path and common origin of Norse, Germanic, Vedic, Greco-Roman, Celtic, Balto-Slavic and Persian beliefs. We also draw parallels to the Proto-Indo-European worldview and the ancient beliefs we call the religion with no name. The Harmia podcast weaves the threads together to understand where we come from and let our true nature empower us in everyday life. We don't have to turn to the east. The answers were always right here. We are all pagan by instinct. Welcome to the Harmia podcast. What you just heard was the words of Walt Whitman from his poem Song of Myself. This Purushartha episode is something we're going to discuss further in a satsang class in our Discord server, which you are, by the way, welcome to join if you're serious in growing your pagan spirituality. You'll find a welcome box on harmia.foundation/contact. And I thought it'd be a good idea to post it so that all of you can hear it and benefit from it. We're living in times and a society, a Kali Yuga, where most things are confusing and where purpose and true meaning to life is blurred out or forgotten. In my work with mentoring young people, I so often hear them say that nothing really matters, or that they don't know where they're going or why. They seem to have so much time that they don't know any purposeful way to spend it. And without true leaders and role models, I don't blame them for feeling empty and lost. And with a society that encourages everything but a meaningful life, it can be valuable with some guidance in what our Indo-European ancestors claimed was the meaning of life. So therefore, today we're going to talk about Purushartha, the 4 aims of human life. Before we get started, I sometimes hear on social media, "That's not a Norse thing," or "Our Viking ancestors didn't do that." And even if it's true that they might not have had this terminology, etc., this podcast and the Harmia Foundation in general is about digging deep and to actually show how much the Indo-European pagan branches have in common, and that we all seem to come from a common thought legacy. Purushartha is obviously not a Norse or Celtic or Roman concept. The word itself is Sanskrit, and it's a Vedic concept. But it mirrors what we know about how various Indo-European peoples lived, and these values echo in the whole Indo-European world. It rhymes very well with, for example, the Greek thought of arete, that the meaning of life is to grow in every aspect and to become the best we can in every sense. In fact, you will even see that the noble Greek virtue of arete is even etymologically cognate with one of the 4 points in this very purpose program. No, Norse paganism isn't the exact same as Hellenism or Balto-Slavic spirituality. but rest assured that they are traditions scooping out of the same source. We share our worldview and a treasure of ideas, thoughts, morals, virtues, and concepts. And despite the fact that we don't see further because of the blindness and sad state of our society, we are still standing on the shoulders of giants. The hero's journey begins with a whispered question that lives within the silent depths of our hearts, a longing to know who we are and why we are here. Meditating deeply on these questions, ancient sages discovered 4 major forces at play that profoundly shape our day-to-day lives and guide us on a path to meaningful fulfillment. These 4 elements fusioned into the concept of Purushartha. It is a key concept in the Vedic spirituality and way of life. It is referred to in Vedic texts and the grand epic Mahabharata. It's a vision or a focus for how to strive to live our lives. What is a life well spent? The word itself consists of Purusha, meaning a being, a consciousness or self, and Artha, meaning goal or objective. So Purushartha means the objects of human pursuit. In the diverse demands and opportunities of our human lives, Purushartha is the 4 meanings or purposes of that life. If we pursue Purushartha, it will lead us to a blissful state of being and a balanced life. The first step on the hierarchy of needs is of course survival and safety. But with that provided for, all humans strive for belonging, cognitive needs, aesthetic needs, self-actualization, and transcendence. And that aligns with both Purushartha and Indo-European paganism in general. For those of you who haven't already, I recommend listening to episode 6 of this podcast. There you'll hear more about the Indo-European parts of the self and how to balance them. Balance what you choose to focus on in life. And that also relates to the concept of Purushartha and where we put emphasis in life. And if you have listened to that episode about Atman and the parts of the self, you know that human life is about understanding what you're all about and to find the balance in what matters the most and what you choose to focus on. Unlike other worldviews, pagans don't renounce or reject life and physical aspects of existence. On the contrary, we celebrate this world, this life, everything living, and also everything we strive to achieve and accumulate in life. It's perfectly natural to want to make love or to grow your skills. And it's perfectly human to want to strive for success and wealth, a good material life. Where it goes wrong is if we let a very narrow aspect of existence blind and rule us. If we get obsessed by the power of the one ring, so to say. Instead, we should try to grow, succeed, build a rich and happy family life. And when we have, then we give, we reciprocate. The richest should give the most, the strongest should defend the most, and those with love all around them should love the most. Reciprocity is the way of the Indo-European pagan. Purushartha is a concept for you to make sure that you focus on the right aspects of life so that you live an honorable life and make sure that you'll take the next step on your journey and grow to the best version of yourself. If you've become an instrument of selfishness and greed, or if you've lost track and feel purposeless, then Purushartha is a way to find your way back home. Now, the first part of Purushartha, the first aim of Indo-European life, is Dharma. This is not something exclusive to Vedic tradition. Even our oldest ancestors, the Proto-Indo-Europeans, followed Dharma. They called it Dharman. And there's a reason I call all pagan spirituality dharmic. And this permeates all pagan branches. There will be a full episode on Dharma further on, but in brief, Dharma means the eternal natural order of things. It is what's natural. It is the inner nature and core of things. All living things must follow their Dharma. For example, it is the Dharma of fire to burn. So your Dharma is your calling and duty in life, your own inner nature in the great natural order. It's your task to explore and find your own Dharma in life, the reason you're here, what makes your heart sing. It is your Dharma to grow to the best version of yourself, like the seed grows to become a flower. And how do you do that? Of course, with the right actions, the right harmanya. The actions you take, the decisions you make, everything that you build or ruin is going to influence both your future self, your children, and future generations. It does not go away. It is when you follow your Dharma, your true nature, that you make Chartus beautiful. And that beauty is where we find Freya. When living beings find and acknowledge their highest and truest aspect, they are then manifesting Freya. Dharma is our raison d'être, our individual Atman's divine purpose, and therefore also our duty. Remember the Norn skuld, the future. Skuld in Swedish means debt. You have a debt to your future self to follow your Dharma. Our first goal in life is to find our own path, our hero's journey, to commit to it and to execute it with excellence. Therefore, Dharma also regulates the next two elements, Artha and Karma. So we've come to the second aim of life, Artha. Artha means goal or objective. And this is where we see a link to the Greek term arete, to strive or perform things with excellence. Artha and arete are etymologically cognate. So again, these concepts is no coincidence or isolated phenomenon. They are part of Indo-European thought and way of life. Artha is often also interpreted as wealth. In fact, both Artha and Greek arete stem from the Proto-Indo-European word riet, a word for cattle or livestock, which for all our ancestors, of course, meant wealth. We see that not the least in the much later rune feu, meaning cattle, but of course symbolizing wealth and life. So acting according to Artha or arete is to grow the skill and ability to build wealth and a good life. The responsibility to provide, making sure that generations to come will have a good life. and also the social and moral purpose in creating a strong community with others to secure the future. Artha is basically to strive to prosper, being a householder and accumulating wealth, building a family and striving for that family to live a bountiful life. The proper state of condition of a human is to be wealthy. It leads to pleasure and happiness. Remember, though, that wealth has many meanings. What makes you feel rich? Also remember that being wealthy in any sense obliges to give more. The rich gives more. The strong protects more. We are truly wealthy when we share with others. If you ever hear people saying, "We don't want to be rich, we don't need any material possessions or property, we renounce life and this material world, we will have our riches in paradise," well, then you know they don't have an Indo-European mindset. A true pagan makes the most of life and celebrates its beauty and abundance. On the other hand, when we've achieved these riches, we are not obsessed by them. We don't sit like dragons on a pile of cold gold. We are not Gollum perishing by his precious. We reciprocate and we are generous. And here I recommend you to listen to episode 5 on the reciprocal Gosti principle of being the host and the guest at the same time. Paganism is about mastery, and this earthly life is supposed to be lived and mastered to the fullest, to be lived with arete, for us to be able to also understand ourselves and the connection between the material and the spiritual. To be whole, we mustn't disparage or denounce this life and world. The key here is that physical life is important. This world is important. Life here is beautiful. And it's important to live it to the fullest, to honor your life and to honor what Chartus has given. And it's important, in fact, to be rich. Rich in the sense that if we don't have, we can't give. So life is about growing and acquiring. Acquiring wealth, skill, wisdom, experience, empathy, love, and spirituality that we then can pass on for others to benefit and grow. We mustn't forget that we live in an eternal and reciprocal gift-giving cycle. Artha is a byproduct of following our Dharma. If we fulfill our Dharma, we will automatically manifest an abundant life in many ways, both material and spiritual. The gods want us to live abundant lives, because the more we have, the more we can give. With Artha, you can also start enjoying life, striving for the next meaning of life, karma. Now, karma is not to be confused with karma. Karma means pleasure, enjoyment. And like I've said before, pagans don't worship death and what is supposedly to come after this life. Pagans don't wait for anything. We celebrate and live life to the fullest. And as mentioned in episode 6, all three aspects of existence are important, and pagans don't renounce the manifest world. We don't wait for paradise. Instead, we worship nature and life itself. We value strive, endeavor, growth, and excelling in life. And when we have excelled, we enjoy the fruits of our efforts. We see the material world and our body as something positive and beautiful. We honor and cherish our body because it is the vehicle of the spirit. It is our mantra. That's the meaning of that word. The frequency of the song we're singing right now. Chartus and the gods want us to be happy and enjoy. Divinity multiplies by us creating and enjoying beautiful things in life. Yes, we're bound in the cycle of samsara, but as we are to excel and delight in this experience and the lessons we learn here. And one of those lessons is to appreciate the beauty of this world and our own life and everything you've achieved. Living life to the fullest, because you're here for a reason. So why hold back and miss the opportunity? The lesson is to live ourselves, live out our true potential, experience true passion, and being true to ourselves. Karma is to enjoy life, to enjoy the wealth and things you've achieved and accumulated, everything you've built up. Karma is experienced through the 5 senses and means, of course, intellectual pleasure, mental pleasure, sensuous pleasure, sexual pleasure. You are right now an Atman with a human experience, and the divinity wants us to make the most of that human experience. So live consciously and enjoy yourself, enjoy your body, your family, your experiences, your memories. Enjoy what makes your heart sing, because where we love, we have our purpose, our Dharma. The pleasures and enjoyment of your own wealth also relates to Artha, in the sense that those who are the most generous with what they have are the happiest people. And remember, if the advantages and pleasures of the material, the body and togetherness were sinful or to be reprehended and renounced, then why would someone write the Kama Sutra 2,500 years ago? It just doesn't make sense. So leave sins and rejection to other, shall we say, worldviews. And with that, we've come to the 4th and last of the Purushartha aims of life, Moksha. Moksha means liberation or freedom. It is the highest goal of all life. It means that you grow so close to your true nature and self that you basically strip off everything that's not true about yourself, everything unnecessary, everything redundant, and finally transcend life. You let go of ego, all worldly worries, and transcend samsara. It means to first self-realize, understand who and what you truly are, and then God-realize, realizing that there's a divine part within yourself that belongs to Chartus, your Atman in Brahman. Those who are fully accomplished, those who have lived long enough to be fully enlightened, those who have fully realized that the truest part of us is what the Proto-Indo-Europeans call etmen, the divine part of ourselves. That we are part of the divine and that's where we belong. They can now choose to transcend the physical and forever leave it behind and merge into Brahman or Chartus. This liberation is where matter and spirit merge, a marriage of heaven and earth. Atman is the incorporeal and imperishable essence of a living being. And it is by Atman that every living being pushes through life towards the ultimate purpose. This can, of course, only be attained by living in accord with your Dharma, and by finding your true essence, and by realizing that you can give everything else away. There are many lessons to be learned in this world. You need to live all experiences, feel all the feelings, live all the lives you need to reach the biggest insights about yourself. We can't skip any of those steps. We can't take shortcuts to true realization. It all has to be done. The lesson has to be learned. And it will take you thousands and thousands of lifetimes to come to that level of experience. But don't despair. There is a system. There is Purushartha. By finding and following our purpose, by following our Dharma, we will manifest a beautiful living for ourselves and our near ones. And in that abundant life, we are reminded of our divine nature by enjoying the true pleasures of life and the beauty of this world. They are a mirror of the divine itself, like love. When we've understood that, we also realize that everything we've done throughout all these lifetimes was for one sole purpose: to realize that we are only the divine. We finally realize that we don't need those things. We're not dependent on them to actually be in bliss. We've completed what we can in the material world. All pleasures and all passion and purpose, and therefore we can instead go within. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take ages, and you'll have to walk that path on your own. Find the answers all on your own. But follow Purushartha, and you're on the right track. Walt Whitman continues his poem. You're also asking me questions, and I hear you. I answer that I cannot answer. You must find out for yourself. This has been the Harmingya Podcast, episode number 8. And as always, the divine in me bows to the divine in you. I want to thank you for listening. Make sure to subscribe so you increase your Harmingya straight away. You will find more information about the podcast and the foundation on harmingya.foundation. You will also find us on Instagram, Discord and YouTube, and more platforms will follow. Feel free to contact us if you have questions, requests or need guidance. I hope to hear from you soon and that you'll tune in next time. And until then, seek not the religion of your ancestors. Seek what your ancestors sought.